Hi there, my name is Dorothy Rosen and I'm in Halifax, Nova Scotia, where today it's incredible. It's an incredible day here today, and I'm decided to go in front of the green wall because I'm going to talk about emeralds today. So I thought, green. It's the wrong color green, but why not? I thought I'd give that a whirl. So thanks for joining me. I decided to talk about emeralds because it is May, and May is, of course, the birthstone for May is emerald. And emerald is also the stone for a 20th wedding anniversary or a 55th wedding anniversary. So if you get to 55 years of being married, that's good. Let me know if you have. So I always like to give a slightly different point of view on things, offer you something that you might not have heard elsewhere. And what I want to tell you about emeralds, like as in, emeralds, this kind of thing, obviously, is that they have siblings. So several gemstones, many gemstones actually, have related gemstones that you wouldn't necessarily think of as being related. So, and the reason that's the case is because their base mineral is the same. For emerald, the base mineral is beryl. So beryl is the base. All the gemstones in that family are called beryl as an overall term. And here's what these other gemstones are. Let me see if I can actually do this. For example, in the family of beryl, I'm going to try to give you a little bit of a close-up. Who knew? Aquamarine. Aquamarine is in the beryl family. And actually, this is a really cool aquamarine. This was cut by Glenn Pruce. I'm going to try to get close enough. This is an incredibly gorgeous stone. They are, of course, under a plastic cover because I need to protect them. I'm holding them up. Isn't that pretty? So aquamarine is in the beryl family, and so is morganite, which has this kind of, I don't know if you can see it, but it has a slightly peachy, is maybe not the best example, simply because it's too bright here to make it look pink, but it's this pinkish, peachy color. Or this is another example. This is called golden beryl. Simply referred to as golden beryl. Looks very different from the emerald, right? Let's get a close-up on the emeralds too. I have this little guy, a bit more clear. And this bigger guy, which has a little bit more inclusions. So I wanted to illustrate that these are all in the same family of gems. They're all beryl, and what makes them different in color is an added mineral. So, for example, to make an emerald to give an emerald that amazing green color that is so recognizable, and honestly not found in many other gemstones, although there are some that are lookalikes. Like it's tsavorite, garnet, and things like that. But what makes that beryl green is the addition of chromium and sometimes vanadium. And so that's what makes it green. But what's really interesting is that chromium, and this is where it gets complicated with gemology, chromium is also what makes a corundum red and causes it to be a ruby. So why does the same mineral make one gemstone gives it the color green and another gemstone gives it the color red? It has to do with how the structure is aligned inside that gem, the crystalline structure, and where in that structure that chromium shows up. So it's like, I find this stuff incredibly fascinating. And in fact, if you think of alexandrite, which is a color change stone, it can be green or red depending on the kind of light you're in, and it's chromium also that does that. So depending on how you look at it, you will see the red or you will see the green. So endlessly fascinating, I find. And what else can I tell you about emeralds? So emeralds are generally not super clean in terms of their clarity. Like color for an emerald is really the most important, because that deep green is what really makes an emerald and also makes it more expensive. And if an emerald just has if a beryl has only a little bit of green in it, if it's very light green, it would be called a green beryl, worth much less. So the color, that's the color, and then the clarity with beryl, actually with emerald, you would expect with emeralds specifically to be there's quite a bit going on inside that stone. I wonder if I took any pictures. Well, not really. So you can see it a little bit in my cover photo that I chose. Is that coming on? Yeah, there you go. You can see a little bit there that it's quite milky, or also, well, I'll tell you first something else. But the inclusions that are inside an emerald are often referred to as a jardin, which means garden, and because it's kind of like a garden inside, and they're actually valued, and that's how you can tell. That's the very first thing. If you have an emerald that's reasonably priced and it's completely clean, it's likely not. It's likely a synthetic. So, anyways, ask your jeweler about that. But the other thing, the reason I didn't want to show you this other photo right away is that, well, for one thing, emeralds are very rare, 20 times more rare than diamonds. And the other thing is that they're quite brittle. So there's not too soft, but they break easily. So in terms of their softness, hardness, it's called Mohs hardness. I've talked about this before. In terms of their hardness, they're softer than a sapphire, softer than a spinel, but they're harder than quartz, for example, and anything in the quartz family like amethyst and things like that. And they're still a lot harder than like a pearl, for example, which I did recently. That I wanted to show you this while we're talking about hardness. That I recently made a OneFooter ring with pearls, 2 pearls for a customer. I did tell her that pearls in a ring, you have to be very, very careful. But this is what she wanted to do, and so we did it. Is that the same picture? Yeah, maybe. It was fun to do that. I always like being challenged by my clients to do something different. Yeah, so emeralds are still a lot harder than that, but they are very brittle. And so what I recommend for emeralds is to put them in a full bezel, like these guys are. I have 3 of these, and they have a full. You see how the bezel, the thing that holds the stone in place, it goes all the way around, protecting that gemstone. There are more of these on the. There's another one. I think that's another one. There are more of them, of course, and I wrote about this in my newsletter this morning too. But what I recommend against, and this is a picture from the internet, this is not my work, is this kind of thing where the gemstone is really exposed on the outside in a ring, and if you just like hit that on a countertop or something, or this kind of thing, if you just hit that on the countertop in the wrong way, you might very quickly take a chunk out of that emerald. So be careful if you have an emerald ring. Be very careful because they are fragile. Also, never ever, if you have a home ultrasonic cleaner, which is great, wonderful, you have one. I might actually start selling some because they're so great to have. But you do not want to put an emerald in the ultrasonic cleaner ever. I could say more about the treatments. They're often oil treated to just fill any cracks with oil. That's perfectly accepted treatment. What's not accepted is dyeing them, obviously. So be careful with the emeralds. And if you're a May baby, happy birthday. Yeah, I have a couple of these left. Here, I'm just going to show you the whole tray. This is what's left of these OneFooter rings with gems. And there are those ones that I just showed you. There's a size 7, a size 7.5. and a size 9. If you're in the market for one of these remaining OneFooter rings in sterling silver before they're all gone, then hit me up. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something, and I wish you a really great day. Bye.